Junius June Peak didn't spend a long spell in law enforcement, but by golly, he sure made his mark, especially in taking on Sam Bass. Born back in Kentucky in 1845, he fought for the Confederacy during the war between the states. After the dust settled, he made his way to Texas. Come the early 1870s, he found himself appointed deputy sheriff in Dallas County. Inside of a year, though, he headed for New Mexico, where the pay was better, and he worked as a range detective chasing down cattle thieves. By 1874, folks in Dallas elected him marshal. 4 years later, in April of '78, he took up the post of lieutenant in the Texas Rangers, leading Company B. The next 3 months would go on to shape the rest of his days and etch his name into history. June Peak gave explicit instructions: gather some guys for the organization and take down Sam Bass and his group. He did a fair job of it too, recruiting about 30 men into the Rangers and tracking Bass near his stomping grounds around Denton, north of Fort Worth. Peak's outfit got into one shootout with the Outlaws, but mostly they kept the pressure on, shutting down hideouts and locking up the gang's accomplices. Along the way, he earned himself a promotion to captain. June Peak was a major factor in Sam Bass's demise. Come May 1878, he helped strike a deal with Jim Murphy, one of Bass's gang members. Murphy consented to turn on Bass and provide the Rangers with information. In return, Murphy would get off scot-free, and his ailing father would be let out of custody. While Peak and Company B stayed up in North Texas, keeping watch in case Bass showed his face, the gang slipped south with plans to rob a bank in Round Rock. Murphy let the Rangers know about the robbery. Bass and his men were involved in a firefight with the authorities on July 19, 1878. Bass took a fatal hit and passed on 2 days later. With Bass out of the picture, Peak's career with the Rangers took a sharp turn. He and Company B were sent out to West Texas to protect settlers from renegade Comanches and Kiowas who had left the reservation. From June 29 to July 2, 1879, they fought in a fierce battle, losing one ranger before driving the Indians back. It was one of Texas's final significant Indian conflicts. After a spell, Peak had his fill of law enforcement and fighting Indians. He turned in his commission on April 15, 1880. Over time, he took up work as a builder, rancher, and real estate agent. He eventually made his home on property his father had created and owned in northeast Dallas, where he worked as the White Rock Lake superintendent. He was 89 years old when he passed away in Dallas in 1934. Though June Peak wore many hats in his lifetime, he'd be best remembered for his 2 years as a ranger, especially those 3 months when he played a key role in bringing down the Sam Bass gang.